Hey guys, Matt, IronTrap Garage, and we are back working on the 33.3 window. Like we mentioned in the last video, I am going to try and start at the front and work my way back on this car, just tackling all of the major things that we need to get figured out on this car. So last time we did the radiator, you can watch that video if you go back through, where I basically sectioned and modified the radiator, the top tank, so that it would fit with the drive system on the balloon Arden. So now what I'm kind of jumping to is shocks. I've had these old 50s Armstrong shocks. These basically were used on British cars like MGs, MGD, TDs, I'm not sure all the model names. From like the 50s, I think even up into the 60s or 70s, they used variations of this. So these are rear shocks. The nice thing I like about these is the body of them is nice and thin. I was also reading articles where it seems like you can change the weight of the oil or shim them to actually tune the shocks, which is pretty neat. But mainly the size and shape of them is cool. And I saw in some old articles of some old little books or hot rod magazines where it was mentioned that there was some old hot rods that used these types of shocks on them. It was kind of like a feature of what they did. So always trying to think outside the box. That was stuck in my head when I found these. Put them aside for this car, and I think it'll be a neat little feature. So let's go to the other side, get the blister off, and we'll get started on trying to figure out how we're gonna make these fit with the old chrome wishbones that we have on this car. So let's get started. All right, so I got one of these shocks. I took like the factory link and all that stuff off of it, so we have just the arm and the shock. I have some junk ones, not junk, but some very weathered ones over there that do move that we may disassemble for science sake. So what I'm thinking is they're down here on the wishbone. I know it's hard to see, but down below here there is a stud that was welded onto this chrome wishbone back in the day, and then they chromed it. And I'm trying to utilize all that stuff. So a lot of times we're building these old style cars or nostalgic cars where you're using real old hot rod parts. What I try and do is work with some of the stuff they did. So rather than cut that mount off and just make my own thing, it's like, well, can we work around that mount that they put on there for the lower mount and make it work for what we're trying to do? So that's kind of our parameters on this. It's like this needs to mount on the frame somewhere behind the blister if possible, and then this arm or arm with some sort of link needs to sit on that stud. So just kind of briefly looking at this, it looks like if I kind of mount it low somewhere in that vicinity, the arm almost lines up where we need it to be, right on that stud. It's just a matter of getting enough throw out of this arm. The problem is the arm's all the way down, so that's not really going to work. So if I have to build some kind of little mini link, we could do that to make this all jive, or we could potentially take this fully apart and pull this arm out. You have to press the arm with the shaft out through the back. These ones are actually really nice. I have a feeling they were rebuilt. So I was kind of hoping I didn't have to get that crazy on this one, but we will see. So I'm going to work on trying to figure this all out. I'm probably going to dissect the rougher one over there so I can get the shaft off so we can kind of see where it's going to fit and make sure the blister will fit over it. So let's start dissecting an old shock. All right, so I got this old one here that before I started looking at online how these come apart, I saw that it was swaged on the end and it's spline. I'm like, oh, we'll just press that right off. Well, I started gouging the crap out of it, and that did not work. So I'm going to try and disassemble this probably more the correct way, and then we'll go from there. So I need to probably drain all the fluid out. So I'm just going to lightly clamp it in the vise, try and get this bottom plug out. Then I know what I need to do on my nice one if I have to take it apart. Let's see what comes out. Supposedly you can use like motorcycle fork oil or even maybe engine oil, somebody was saying on one of the things I read, to stiffen these up versus the oil they came with. But yeah. Okay, that's got a little like pressure deal in it. Spring, relief spring maybe. That's stinky oil. Oh, okay. So there's a piece. Another spring. That goes like that. Wow, there wasn't a lot of fluid in it. Oh man, that shit stinks. Ugh. Smells like British car asshole. Ugh. Oh, there we go. Cool. Alright, so got this pressed out. It's just a spline also on the inside here where it goes through what I guess you could describe as, so it has like a, believe when I looked at the photos there's like a rod, like basically 2 rods and 2 pistons in here. I don't know how easy they're gonna push out, but oh yeah, see if we can get them to wiggle out of here. That one's coming out. Yep, there we go. Oh yeah, geez. So it's just got 2 little, it's probably really hard to see in there. There's 2 little like valves, or 2 little holes in these. And you know, basically when you're pushing the fluid through, it creates resistance. Kind of a neat idea. And it appears there's, oh, only on this one. Interesting. This one has a rubber seal on it. Almost like a valve. I don't know, like an oil wiper or something like that, for lack of a better term. I'm not sure what I would call it, but it looks to be just a rubber seal here. And on this one, it seems pretty good, even though the outside of this one was really rough looking. So it's got that spline portion there. So in theory, I should be able to pull that out and potentially reposition this arm if I need to get the arm where I want, but still be in the center of the stroke, which would be pretty kick-ass. So, but the main part of this process was I wanted to get just the main body so that I can fit this to the frame rail and try and work around it to get this physical piece fit and the blister over it, and then we can kind of go from there of what the arm needs to do. That's kind of the second series of problem solving. So I'm going to get my hands cleaned up of this nasty stinky oil and probably clean the hell out of that so it doesn't make me stink every time I touch it, and then we will start test fitting it to the car. All right, so this is one of those good examples where you have an idea in your head of what parts you're going to use and how it's going to work. It's going to be real slick, and then you go to put it on the car, and it totally doesn't work. After stashing those shocks for years, hoping I was going to put them on it, it's just not going to work. There isn't enough room behind the blisters. I'd have to just like really do some weird stuff or totally hack up the blisters to make that work. So I think I'm going to go back to, I guess, what would have been done originally on these wishbones and use some tube shocks. So I have just some short chrome tube shocks here that I'm using for mock-up. I got an F1 mount here. This is always a good basis. I keep these around all the time. This might even be my last pair, I don't know. So I keep these around so we can do stuff with them. It's nice that they're the way they're made. I mean, that was what everybody was using back in the day anyways, so it looks the part, but also saves a little bit of time. You can cut it off, heat it and bend it, do whatever you need to do with it and make it work. So what I'm thinking is I got the shock mounted there about where it needs to be, got plenty of travel on the shock there where it's set, and the nice thing is when you're standing from the side, you're not staring at some super tall shock mount or anything like that. Of course, when you come up on it, you can see it. So a lot of the stuff I'm trying to get it to function, but also visual. What I did is found some orphan headlight bar that we had kicking around in the warehouse area over there, storage building, and this is a good one for maybe scavenging the pieces or the shape to add a headlight stand on. So what I'm kind of trying to decide right now is, do I want to heat and bend this or modify this so that it kind of, we just drill a little hole in the blister, or maybe it goes under the blister, I'm not sure yet, and bolts to the frame so it's secure. And then do I just build, it's kind of backwards of how some of these I've seen is, and then do I build a headlight stand off of that, that I cut this flange off and it's welded to this piece, and it kind of, you know, comes out and sits like where I want it to be forward. I just got to see if that's going to look ugly, how it's going to work. I don't know yet, but basically we're trying to hide all this with these E&J headlights. So again, another pieces I've had kicking around forever. These things are cool, old polish job on them, really nice shapes. So that's what I'm hoping to use on the car. I kind of eyeballed it a little bit earlier with a different mount, and I definitely like the shape of them on the car. It's just getting them placed in the right spot. So that's what I'm gonna fiddle with now. Cue the music of me running around like Benny Hill trying to figure out what I'm doing, scratching my head, scratching my butt, and hopefully coming up with a plan here soon. Okay, so last couple shots, I was heating and bending and dropping this shock mount. I lined up some holes and drilled it in the frame here. I'm just using some bolts temporarily for now to get everything lined up. But drop this back down. There we go. So I have this, hopefully everything kind of lines up here. It's a little bit of a pain because of the cross member there where these holes will be. I'm probably going to put some sort of weld-a-threaded insert into the frame more than likely, so I can just thread right in and not have to fish bolts into the cross member. So for now, I just fished them in and I'm tightening the bolts down. This is not what it's going to be. I just want to make sure my holes and where I tightened everything down is going to be where I want it to be. So that should be another one here. Alright, so in the last couple shots you saw I was heating and bending this old F1 shock mount to get it to kind of line up with where I wanted the shock to land with where the mount was on the original old hot rod wishbone. So what I need to figure out here, and it might be the difficult thing, is how to get this all so that you can like fit it all on the car. I have a hole I cut in this, but obviously with the way this is made, I can't just slide it on. I have to actually fish it through, which is going to be a little bit of a pain right now. So the only other thing I could do is I can actually cut, it may even be the smart thing to do, just cut a notch down in this so you could slip it down over. With all the bends in that, it's going to be nearly impossible to get it on all the time. So it's probably what I need to do, sadly. But let's see. Goes there. All right, so I got the last little things I wanted to do for this portion of the video. So I ended up pulling the grill that I had on before off and kind of checking out all my different grills I had potentially for this car. I had a never installed repro grill that was re-chromed and is very, very nice. But when we put it on, I actually didn't like the chrome bars. It was just a little too much for what I wanted the car to be. And then I had another one that was kind of wonky and broken, and the shape of it wasn't there. I had this one that had really good shape, had some decent old chrome on it, but the horse collar portion was actually cut off of it at some point. So what I did is I took the horse collar off of another grill. And it actually is like a lap welded originally. They actually put a little joggle in it and put it underneath, and then they lap welded it. So what I did is I extracted all of that stuff, the old pieces, and put it on, lap welded it kind of like the factory, but what I ended up using was stainless filler rod, so that way I could actually polish it, because this is chrome from the factory. And by using that stainless rod, it'll stay, decent, and we might get some very minor rust on either side of the weld, but nothing real major. But I'm able to polish up that weld so that nothing sticks out like a sore thumb. This is probably the best grill for the car that I have currently. So that was my little side quest after doing the shock mounts on this. So the shock mounts worked out really good. Happy with how they poke out of the blisters on both sides. And when everything's together, when we put our headlights on, most of this is going to end up getting blocked by the headlights that we're going to do in the next, probably the next video. But I wanted to try and make sure that it's still something that when you look around the car, it's something that looks like it was thought out, but also does not shout at you. My plan is with the shocks, I don't love these shocks. I like the old style shocks that have like the little cover that kind of goes over the rod. And so I know SoCal, I think SoCal Speed Shop was selling some repro of the airplane shocks, as they used to call them back in like the 50s. And I'm going to see if I can find a set of those to put on that are chrome but have the little covers. If not, I may do some sort of trickery getting some old exhaust tips or something like that I did on another car that can create that cover over here. But we'll figure that out. That's down the road. Biggest thing is now we have working shocks, shock mounts that are nice and sturdy. And I finished up some stuff in the front end here that makes everything fit a little bit better. And we can move on to doing the headlights, which is probably the next big thing before we take the radiator and the grill and all that stuff off and send the radiator away to get that built. So that's a long drawn out way of doing very, very simple shock mounts using some F1 shock mounts as a starting point. Hope you guys enjoyed this and it was maybe helpful for you if you're deciding to do shock mounts that are old school on your project. So thank you guys for following along. Appreciate it. Catch you later.